All right, welcome to Indie Hustlers. This is On Galicia, host of Indie Hustlers podcast. Today I'm joined by Angel Peaches. She's a singer, songwriter, actress, um, entertainer based in Los Angeles. Welcome to the podcast.
Hola, hola, it's a pleasure.
How you doing today? Good?
Good, it's been a wonderful day.
Yeah, it's been great? Hell yeah. Okay. Right off the bat, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you do.
You got it, yes. I'm a Mexicana Guatemalteca de puro corazón. I was born in Los Angeles, and when I was like 6 months, I went to Guatemala, then Mexico. So I lived there till I was like 5 years old. So I have like very strong roots, and they're very alive in me. And I came back here when I was like 5 years old, and I lived in East Hollywood, then, Inglewood, Lakewood, and for most of it now, it's been East LA, from Boyle Heights to Montebello. So yeah, all over LA girl. And I, do my own hustle. I write my own music, and I act, and you gotta just go for it in these times, and be your own manager.
For sure. So you mentioned hustler. That's definitely something you are, and what I've grown to see you become. When you hear the word hustler, describe that word to me. Like, what does that mean to you, or how can you see that from an outside perspective?
I feel like it's a person that gets up in the morning and has a vision and goes for it. Even if there are odds or things that are, or people that don't believe, they just go for it and they figure it out. And even when they have downtime, they figure out ways where they could, put one foot in front of the other and just go for it. Just people with a vision, and that just,
For sure. No, totally. How did you become a hustler, or when did you start seeing that you had become this hustler that you are now?
Well, when I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to do acting for sure. And so my parents had already told me graduate first and then figure it out. But actually, they wanted me to do communications and, graduate and do college. But I knew in my heart that there was something more, because I was going to do communications and do public speaking and stuff like that. But it wasn't in my heart. And I didn't want to take the easy route, which it's not at all. Going to college is really hard. But in a way, for me, that is the easy route, because I know that there's something that I want to do, which is make music and do film. And I knew that I had to go in head first and be my own advocate, and do my own work like that. And so that's when the hustle started. And, I started in background and figuring out the business and how it is. And luckily now I'm represented in, both ways. And yeah, very lucky to be able to do so.
So, like, the way I see it too is you have to jump in the deep end sometimes and really figure out, like, head first, like you said, right. This is what I want to do. This is where the lengths I have to get through to get to that point. So how was it jumping in the deep end? Like, was there obstacles in your way? Were there people in the way of what you wanted to do? Were there people who supported you?
I mean, luckily my family are very supportive. My mom especially, she, I told her, well, I'm still kind of in college type of thing, but she's like, you know what, go and do what you want right now. Like, there's not going to be another moment like in this moment, and so go for it. And luckily, I get to provide for my family half and figure out my own stuff too. So just very lucky to have that and to just go through the world. And there are a lot of obstacles because in the media, when you start and you have no idea what's going on, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, hey, let me pull the stars down for you in exchange of something else. And you have to be wary. And luckily I've always been very wary of people and trusted my gut. So luckily I've been strong and standing on my own, but yeah, very lucky and protected.
That's amazing. For your music career, something you mentioned, what was that process like? So, like, take us from when you first fell in love with music to where you're at now. What lengths you took? Was it a challenge? Is there stuff now that you want to pursue and do with that?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, the first moment that I think I became conscious was sitting in my dad's truck, and he was playing Los Prisioneros, Tren al Sur, and I realized I love music with my
That's
entire
my favorite
heart.
song, Tren al Sur.
Right?
That's my drunk song.
Yeah, I mean,
it's so good.
Beautiful, and it's just the type of music that, I don't know, makes you feel sad and nostalgic, even though it's like a happy song, kind of. It's so music like that moves me, and I know that my passion is music,
Yes.
And so watching also my mom perform, she performed La Sonora Dinamita, the original one in Mexico. So just like seeing her perform, it just gave me kind of like I mean, I was starstruck as a little kid and knowing that I wanted to be like her. And so growing up, I watched her also perform out here in quinceañeras and stuff like that. So it was just always like a family thing. And when I turned like 13, I started performing with her. And so luckily, like performing has always come natural to me because of that. But in like 2019, I started writing music on my own. I didn't know that I could do it. I remember being little and like saying, oh man, I wish I could write a song, and it's just so weird. And you know, like the first moments where I started writing, they were very weird. They felt like it was kind of like an ego death situation, because you get so embarrassed of your own lyrics and you're like, how can I ever do something that is not you know. But luckily, like through time, I fell in love with it, and now it comes very easily. And like whenever I have like a feeling in my heart, like either sadness, happiness, like I know that I have to go write. Because it's kind of like a download, I feel like.
I think the realest music does come from the heart, and it's like you really feel it through the lyrics and like through the melody and how you put it together as a song. So that's definitely important, and it's great that you take from personal experiences and stuff like that.
For sure.
And you mentioned acting, so like tell us about acting. Like how did that happen, or like is that something you're still wanting to pursue?
For sure.
Is it something that has been a struggle for you lately, or has there been, talk about your experiences?
Of course. I mean, I think, like I said, my family is music, you know, and for me personally, I feel like my personal passion is film. And I grew up watching Pedro Infante, Tintan, and all of those films that they're just so real and gorgeous, and it just looks like a slice of what real life used to be. And I just love that. I love when actors are just so real and they make you like feel like you're in there. So I just fell in love with that. And like novelas, watching novelas growing up, like Betty la Fea is like my favorite novela ever, and you know that Teresa, and so all of those novelas, I just knew that I wanted to do something like that. And when I was like 12, I started, you know, I got into like an acting conservatory, but since my parents didn't know how to like speak English or like manage me, they didn't know what to do with that. But since then, I've always been super passionate. And like I said, when I graduated, I got into background, which, you know, background is background, but it's a blessed job anyway. And it gave me a lot of information about the business and just meeting people, asking around. And now I feel like I'm very, how do I say, secure in this moment. And even though the industry right now is like stopped, people think just because the strike is over, I feel like everyone in the industry is a little like, what's going on? But you know, these are the moments where you have to you know, read on like better your craft and not focus on like the stop, because there's gonna be a stop and then there's gonna be a go. You know, and so right now I'm very lucky that I get to do music and other things, because it balances out, you know. So,
100%.
So yeah, both of them, like, you know, like I said, some people say, just do one thing because that's probably going to get you somewhere. And if not, you're wasting your time. No, I say, if you can do both, go for it and do it hard and the best you can. So
100%.
Yeah, we're good.
No, I agree completely with that. Tell us some of your musical and acting influences growing up. Like who really like inspired you and really pushed you to pursue it even further because of that?
Well, someone that right now who came to mind really quickly was, I mean, Cyndi Lauper and Madonna. I love them both. But I mean, my queen, Selena, right? Selena Quintanilla is like, I mean, people say Madonna, Michael Jackson, but I say we have Selena, you know, that's our Michael Jackson.
Has anyone ever told you that you look like Shakira a little bit?
I was, algunas veces, you know, because the curls, I
feel like
too.
You embrace that energy too. Like you're very bubbly and like, you know, very outgoing and stuff. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, las Latinas, you know, it's just very lucky to be one. I think.
Hey, they bring the spice and the flavor, you know what I mean?
You know, it's just a lot of like heart and
passion,
love. For sure.
All that stuff. Okay, what about acting influences? Like who really, seeing on screen, like motivated you, like, oh, I want to be like that person?
I would say Maria Felix.
Okay.
Maria Felix, watching her films, and I was very lucky to do play her in a theater production at Casa 101, and oh my god, I had like so much fun because I was able to do her voice and like just try to personify or get into her. And so but I love her, and I learned her story and about how like she was like already 3 years old when she was like discovered in the street of Mexico City, and she had already had a kid, and she was like, please, I don't need you. And then the guys were actually serious, and they were like, let me make you a star, but they were like for real.
Yeah.
And so they you know, start just like in I think it was like 6 months or less, she just figured out how to like do acting, and they directed her, and she was just natural. And I think the beautiful thing about that is that she was maybe not in her head, and she just did what they directed her, and there was no like, oh, I need to you know, climb this hill to get there. And it's, you know, I get nervous when I'm being filmed. I think it was just normal and natural. And when you see her film, she like exudes this like elegance and just beauty and timelessness that I love. And but yeah, there's so many actors. I mean, yeah,
but that's a big one for sure.
For sure.
So talking about the industry, like it's been a really strong 2 years for Latinos in film, especially with like what's been coming out. A lot of past actors are now directing and producing and writing, and they've been coming out with really great TV,
for sure,
film, especially independent film that's been like blowing up like crazy. What has it been like, you know, growing up on the grind of becoming a Latino actress and seeing now like the effects that we've had on Hollywood?
It's beautiful. Yeah. It really is gorgeous to see. You know, growing up in an industry where there weren't really many, except for like a couple actors that were Latinos, and when they were Latinos, they had like thick accent, and you know, and I think we went through a cusp where we really wanted to like be liked by the industry, so we kind of made fun of ourselves, you know, because it's kind of like, look at us, we're these silly people, like look at us. But and now I feel like we're waking up to being like, no, we're not just silly people, which we are. We're very funny and charismatic, but we're not just that. We're multidimensional. It's super intelligent beings, and I'm super excited for like the movies that we are going to be making. And I love indie films and indie filmmakers, because it's like now, you know, we like people are more inspired to go ahead and do it, you know, instead of just thinking that it's only a thing that people could do if they're super rich or in the, you know, media.
I think through the years too, like I've noticed that, you know, a lot of Latinos have just been side characters or just kind of put off as like supporting roles, and now to see more like independent actors and actresses taking on these leads and like having full movies surrounded around them and other stories and stuff like that is really impactful too. And I think it's great to see that, you know, our people have been making leaps in the film, entertainment, writing, like all the different departments. The importance of networking, like talk to me about any advice you would give to somebody who wants to start fitting into these social groups or these social gatherings. If you're new to networking, what are some little pointers you would throw out there to help get you in a crowd or get you in a conversation?
For sure. I mean, there's a lot of groups out there. Like you said, Nosotros is a great one because they have mixers. So it's just about showing up, you know. Sometimes your friends might not know what's going on, or they're not in that industry. So maybe you're going to be scared to go by yourself. But I say go by yourself. You know, you're going to meet people, and there's a lot of people just like you that are going to want to go and show up. So it's just really about showing up, and you never know who you're going to meet. And honestly, like I said, I'm super shy. Like for some reason, I'm very good at performing and singing in front of big crowds. But when I meet some people, there are just certain people that I just like freeze up, you know, and that's just how it is. But I think it's just about showing up. And sometimes when you like set out an intention, you know, I don't know if you guys are Catholic, Christian, evangelical, whatever, but there's a saying that goes, start, and then God is going to meet you halfway. So even if you're not religious, that I feel like it's a saying that is just, if you start, the world is going to meet you halfway, and you never know. Like, just make the intention and don't be scared, because there are a lot of people just like you. If you're shy, there are a lot of people that are shy just like you, and you never know who's going to be more shy than you, and you're going to be the comfort to them, you know?
Yeah, it's like what we talked about. Sometimes you just got to throw yourself into the deep end, you know, and like just be like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to go in with good intentions and just be the most genuine person you can be. And I feel like people value that. Yeah. And they see that you're trying and you're putting in effort. Exactly. And they want to connect with you.
Yeah, and also it's not about looking to see what people could give to you. Like, I feel like if, you know, hay que dar para merecer type of thing, like you have to see what you can bring to the table. And if you are going to bring something to the table, people are going to reciprocate that, you know, back to you. So
100%. What are 3 things you would want to change about the industry?
Ooh.
Whether it's music or film, or both.
I feel there's a lot of something, I don't even know if we're ever going to truly be able to fix this, but I think there is a thing where when people have power and they don't know how to like control themselves, they might want to use that power and control their people, you know, and now luckily I've met a lot of people that have power, but they know their limits and they know how to be respectful and you know, not expect anything from other people. But there is always going to be a weird dark side. Like I'm so glad now that we have social medias too, so that we all talk about it and not stay quiet.
Yeah.
Because NDAs are cruel, you know.
Yeah.
I was in a TV show with my mom, and I have like the inside scoop, and you know what people were talking about, and there are some people in the industry that will say, okay, I'm going to sign you, and you are going to firmar this NDA, so whatever happens when you come talk to me at my house cannot be talked out outside. So you could imagine what could go on there, you know.
100%.
And so it's really sad when there are people that don't have protection, or people that are going to be there with them, and they say, okay, I'm gonna have to do this because I need to get somewhere in life.
Yeah.
And it's cruel, but that's definitely something that I would want to change.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then I feel like there are also a lot of people that are kind of like, I don't know, que no le quieren dar oportunidades a la gente, just because, I don't know, they feel like, oh, they don't deserve my help, so I'm not gonna give it to them. I don't know. So it's kind of like, just like the power imbalance is weird. But who knows if we're gonna be able to fix that? And I don't know.
I think for me, like, because I can speak on experience too, and like what I've noticed is like there is a dark side to any industry, especially the entertainment industry. And like I think the biggest thing has been like the pedophilia.
Oof, yeah.
Like taking advantage of young women for specific things, whether it's roles or you know, deals or stuff like that. There's been a lot of cases where people take advantage of their power, like you were saying, and they try to get something that's not professional out of these women.
Exactly.
And I think that's one major thing I would want to change. I'm not even gonna base it on women too. I feel like guys, you know, there's times where guys could have been
like Drake Bell.
Yeah, there could have been a whole reversal. So it's just like, I just think pedophilia in general should be a topic that's tackled.
Yeah.
Another thing too is I think there's a lot of bias behind hiring people based on their education. Me, for example, I didn't go to college, but I worked my way up to working at Paramount, you know, Imagine, Nickelodeon, all these different companies I worked for in the past.
Right.
So my portfolio is really strong, but because I didn't have a college education, I missed out on a lot of opportunities, or they wouldn't give me that same amount of respect, I should say, that a college graduate with no experience would get. So I feel like there's a lot of imbalance there.
Right, like
to where,
gatekeepers.
Yeah, they won't take you know, personal work experience into consideration when hiring. They're gonna hire some kid fresh out of college with no experience because they have a degree, rather than somebody who's been working in that industry for 3+ years with no degree.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, one thing that I'll learn is street smarts is just as valuable as you know, education. I feel like what you learn on the streets, what you learn through your personal experiences, will teach you above more than what the textbook would teach you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's also the factor of like nepo babies, and there's no way that kids like that shouldn't be able to make art. They definitely should, but I think it's a little unfair also. Like, if, you know, let's say you have a lot of talent for filmmaking, and they're not going to look at you, but they're going to look at someone's kid, you know.
No, for real. It's really just like almost like a private school situation, you know, where like you got money, you got position, you got power. They're gonna put you ahead of all these people who could be just as talented, or if anything more talented than you. So I definitely get that. And you know, like I think right now we're after the strike that happened, we're kind of in a period of adjustment where the industry's shifting. We're trying to figure out what's gonna happen, where it's gonna be. So what was your experience like when the strike hit? Did that affect you in any way, whether it was auditioning for roles? Did it affect any friends of yours who were in the industry? Or how did it make you feel?
Yeah, all of them. And I was just talking to my friend yesterday, and they were saying how since the strike, this whole time, it's just been a super dry period. Completely dry. Like, people have no idea how dry it has been. It's like the 2008 market crash practice, or worse, because
just the whole industry in general.
But you know, very luckily, right when the strike hit, I was cast as in a play called Reina de la Rumba, Queen of the Rumba, by Josefina Lopez, and I was working at Casa 101. So that was just a beautiful, beautiful like
shout out to them.
Shout out to Casa 101, Josefina Lopez, Corky Dominguez,
yeah.
Emmanuel de Leage, everyone. I love them, and they, you know, there's just like that community that keeps people working.
That's a blessing right there. I feel like now is the time for our artistry to really blow up.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of in a golden age of Latino filmmaking, songwriting. Some of the most popular, you know, music artists right now are Latino.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That
whether it's reggaeton, hip hop, everything, R&B, jazz, like everything. It's just it's becoming dominated, and you know, to kind of see like where we came from, the progression where we're at now, is beautiful.
Oh yeah.
So, just to close it up, what are some like kind of like a last statement or something you would pass on to people who want to become a singer, songwriter, actress, make it in the industry? What are some pieces of advice you would give them?
It would always just be to try it, you know. Just don't knock it until you try it. Really, it's just about going and just going in head first, and don't let people discourage you. Even if you do go to, I would actually say go to college, you know. And people sometimes, they're just so extremist. They say either you're going into the business and doing it completely right, or just don't go in it at all, or you have to do one thing. No, you can, and there's always going to be time for it, you know. And if you want to go and get a stable job, do not feel bad about that. Like, that doesn't mean that your dream is going to be over, you know. It might mean that you're going to be able to maintain yourself in that field, because right now things, you can't just be one thing, especially in Los Angeles, you know. So don't and also don't think just because you have a 9 to 5 you can't go and write music or do things. Just, you know, just with a tiny bit of discipline and belief in yourself, you could make a million things. And there are a lot of groups out there that you could just go and you know, like LATV is amazing, and Nosotros. I love these groups of people that are, you know, hyping up our own people. And I think the community is also very important, and just grinding and hustling.
100%. That's the goal.
You know,
grind and hustle. Indie hustle is why we're here. Let people know where they can find you. Tag yourself. Let us know like your socials or where people can connect and see more of your work.
Yes, of course. You can find me on Angel Peaches. Angel_Peaches on Instagram, angelpeaches.com. On YouTube también. There's a song that I wrote that's going to be coming out on June 20th called Magia. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. Y lo hice con mucho corazón para ustedes.
Besitos, gracias. Thank you for coming on. Till next time.
Till next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.